The vast chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with worried whispers. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy filled the circular room, their forms as varied as the stars themselves. Some floated in anti-gravity pods, others stood on mechanical legs, and a few existed as pure energy contained within special suits. But today, all their eyes, sensors, and sensing organs focused on the large display floating in the center of the chamber. "This can't be right," muttered Captain Red, his crystalline form reflecting the blue light from the display. "The humans are preparing for war, yet they launch only one ship. It makes no sense." The image showed Earth's orbital shipyards, where a single massive vessel hung in space. Around it, smaller craft buzzed like insects around a sleeping giant, but they were clearly support vessels, not warships. Admiral Stone, an older member of the Council's military branch, tapped his metal fingers against the polished desk. His species had long ago replaced their organic parts with machinery, seeking perfection in chrome and steel. "Perhaps our intelligence is wrong. The humans can't be this foolish. No civilization fights a war with one ship." "Yet that is exactly what they're doing," said Director White, her cloud-like form swirling with streaks of concern. She gestured with one vaporous tendril, and the display zoomed in on the human vessel. "Our deep space monitors have tracked no other large-scale construction. No hidden fleets. No secret bases. Just this thing." The council members studied the ship. It was huge, bigger than any vessel they'd ever seen a young civilization build. Its hull was smooth and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The shape reminded some of the ancient sea creatures that once swam in their homeworld's oceans, lengthy and streamlined, but with odd bulges and protrusions that hinted at unknown purposes. "We should strike now," suggested Commander Black, his insectoid mandibles clicking with excitement. "One ship, no matter how large, cannot stand against our combined fleets. We have the numbers. We have the technology. We have no idea what we're dealing with," interrupted Advisor Green, her plant-like appendages waving gently in agitation. "Remember the humans' history. Every time someone underestimated them, they revealed something unexpected. Their civilization advanced faster than any we've encountered. They went from primitive combustion engines to faster-than-light travel in less than 2 centuries. The chamber grew quiet as the council members remembered other surprising human achievements. How they cured diseases that had plagued other species for millennia. How they'd solved mathematical problems that the galaxy's best minds had struggled with for generations. How they'd looked at technologies that had remained unchanged for eons and simply improved them. "What do our spies report?" asked Captain Red, his crystal surface clouding with worry. Director White brought up another image, this one showing the ship's estimated size. "The vessel is nearly the size of a small moon. Power readings are off our charts. But here's the strange part. We detect no significant weapon systems, no missile bays, no energy cannons, nothing that matches known combat profiles." "Impossible," scoffed Admiral Stone. "A ship that size must have defenses." "Oh, it has defenses," confirmed Director White. "The strongest shields we've ever detected. But it's as if they built the largest vessel in known space and forgot to arm it." The council chamber erupted in confused discussions. Some representatives argued for immediate action, while others urged caution. The debate might have continued for hours if not for the sudden alert that cut through the noise. "The human ship is moving," announced the automated system. The display showed the massive vessel breaking away from Earth's orbital shipyards, its dark hull seeming to drink in the light of the sun. It moved with surprising grace for its size, accelerating smoothly toward the edge of the solar system. "Where is it heading?" demanded Commander Black. Director White's cloudy form condensed with tension. "Based on its current trajectory, directly toward our core systems." The chamber fell silent again, but this time the silence carried the weight of fear. They had all expected humanity to build a fleet, to follow the normal patterns of warfare that had existed for millions of years. Instead, humanity had built something new. something different, something that made no sense according to their understanding of war. They were about to learn why. 3 months earlier, the sleek diplomatic vessel of the Galactic Council approached Mars with what its crew thought was appropriate caution. Ambassador Gray stood on the bridge, his metallic skin reflecting the red planet's dim sunlight. He had conducted first contact missions 17 times before, but something about this one made his circuits buzz with unusual tension. "The humans have spotted us," reported the sensor officer, her scaled fingers dancing over the control panel. "They're launching vessels from their Martian base." Gray watched as 5 small ships rose from the red planet's surface. They were crewed by Council standards, but moved with surprising speed and precision. "Standard greeting protocol," he ordered. "Let's show them we come in peace." The Council ship broadcast the universal peace signal, a pattern of light and radio waves used across the galaxy for thousands of years. The human ships responded by forming a defensive screen between the Council vessel and Mars. "They're protecting their base," muttered Gray's second-in-command. "But we've already seen it. Strange behavior." Gray's programming suggested caution, but his experience told him to press forward. Humans were new to the galactic stage. They couldn't be expected to know all the proper protocols. "Move closer," he ordered. "Show them we mean no harm." The Council ship glided forward. The human vessels adjusted their formation, but didn't retreat. Instead, they began broadcasting a message in their primitive radio waves. "Unidentified vessel, maintain your distance. This is a restricted military installation. Any closer approach will be considered hostile action." Gray's circuits crackled with frustration. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. The humans should be honored by the Council's attention, eager to join the galactic community. Instead, they were treating the Council's diplomatic mission like a threat. "Sir," the weapons officer spoke up, "their ships are powering up some kind of energy systems. Crude, but potentially dangerous at close range." "Absolutely unacceptable." Gray's voice carried the authority of the entire Council. "We are here on a peaceful mission. They dare to threaten us." His logical circuits suggested retreat, but his pride protocols overrode them. "Fire a warning shot, something to show them our technological superiority. Aim well away from their ships." The Council vessel's smallest defensive laser fired, intended to create a harmless flash of light in the space between the ships. But something went wrong. Later, investigations would show that the humans had been testing a new type of defensive shield around their base, one that used principles unknown to Council science. The laser hit this invisible barrier and reflected. Its energy multiplied and redirected. The blast struck the Martian surface directly beneath the human outpost. In an instant, 300 years of human colonization efforts vanished in a flash of light and energy. The base, along with its 2,000 inhabitants, simply ceased to exist. Silence fell over the Council ship's bridge. Gray's metallic fingers gripped his command chair as he processed what had just happened. The human vessels hung motionless in space, their crews likely as shocked as his own. Then, without warning, the human ships vanished, not destroyed, but suddenly accelerating away at speeds the Council's sensors could barely track. In the next few moments, every human settlement on Mars went dark, their power signatures disappearing as if they'd never existed. "Sir," the communication officer's voice shook, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth." The message was short, delivered in the flat tone of artificial translation. "You have committed an act of war against humanity. You have destroyed a civilian research installation. You have killed 2,000 people. We trusted that first contact with an advanced civilization would bring wisdom and peace. We were wrong. Remember in the coming days. You chose this path, not us." Before Gray could respond, every human station in the solar system went silent. Satellites turned off. Radio signals ceased. Earth itself seemed to draw a curtain of silence around itself. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, her scales pale with fear, "we're detecting massive power signatures in Earth's orbit. They're building something big." Gray stared at the empty space where the Martian base had been, his circuits struggling to process how everything had gone so wrong so quickly. He had come to welcome humanity into the galactic community. Instead, he had started a war. And humanity's response was already taking shape in Earth's orbit. The massive human vessel emerged from Earth's orbit like a whale rising from dark waters. Observation stations across the galaxy captured its first movements, and every analyst who watched the recordings felt a chill run through their bodies, whether they were made of flesh, crystal, or energy. "They call it Titan's Forge," reported Scout Brown, his feathered crest standing on end as he presented the latest findings to the Council's war room. Though our translation might not be perfect, the name suggests some kind of workshop or factory. Admiral Stone paced the room, his mechanical legs making soft clicking sounds against the floor. "Impossible. No factory needs to be that big. The amount of resources they used to build it could have created 1,000 regular warships." The scout brought up a hologram showing the vessel's true scale. It stretched nearly 20 kilometers from end to end, its dark hull broken up by strange patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. Most curious were the massive openings along its sides, each one large enough to swallow a small spaceship whole. "Our best scans can't penetrate more than a few meters into its hull," Scout Brown continued. "It's as if the material itself absorbs our scanning beams. We've never seen anything like it." Director White's cloudy form swirled with concern. "What about weapons? We must have detected something by now." "That's the strangest part." Brown zoomed in on various sections of the ship. "We can't find any conventional weapons. No missile tubes, no energy cannons, not even point defense systems. But the hull, it's incredibly thick, layered with materials we don't understand. And the shields." He paused, checking his data twice before continuing. "The shields appear to be some kind of adaptive energy field. When we sent probe ships to test them, the shields simply absorbed all energy directed at them. No deflection, no reflection. Just perfect absorption." The room fell silent as tactical displays showed the vessel's steady progress toward the Council's core systems. It moved with deliberate slowness, like a creature that felt no need to hurry. "We've sent 3 battle groups to intercept it," Commander Black reported, his insectoid legs tapping nervously. "The first group just made contact." The tactical display shifted to show live footage. 20 of the Council's most advanced warships surrounded the human vessel, their weapons charged and ready. They looked like minnows swooning around a leviathan. The lead Council ship transmitted its warning. "Human vessel, you are entering restricted space. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded, or we will open fire." The human ship didn't respond. It didn't change course. It didn't even acknowledge the transmission. It simply continued forward, its massive bulk moving steadily through space. "They're firing warning shots," Scout Brown narrated as flashes of energy burst from the Council ships. The beams struck the human vessel's shields and simply vanished, like water droplets falling into an ocean. The Council fleet opened fire with full power. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and gravitational weapons all struck the human ship from every angle. The results were the same: total absorption, no damage, no response. Then something unexpected happened. The massive openings along the ship's sides began to move. Huge sections of the hull shifted and reformed, creating new patterns that seemed to flow like liquid metal. "What are they doing?" Admiral Stone demanded. "Sir," Brown's voice shook slightly, "we're detecting massive energy readings from inside those openings. But it's not weapon energy. It's more like industrial power signatures. And they're collecting debris from their attackers' weapons fire, pulling in the energy and matter like raw materials." Director White's gaseous form condensed with sudden realization. "It's not a warship," she whispered. "It's exactly what they named it. A forge. But what are they planning to build out here in deep space?" The human vessel continued its relentless advance, ignoring the Council fleet like a mountain ignoring rainfall. The openings in its hull continued to shift and change, internal lights now pulsing with growing power. Whatever Titan's forge had been built to create, they were about to find out. And somehow, that was more terrifying than facing 1,000 warships. The Council's third battle fleet watched in stunned silence as Titan's forge approached an asteroid field at the edge of the Centauri system. For 6 days, they had followed the massive human vessel, watching it shrug off attacks from 2 separate fleets as if they were nothing more than minor inconveniences. "Look at the size of that thing," muttered Captain Blue from his command chair, his bioluminescent skin pulsing with nervous light. "It's bigger than most space stations I've seen." The bridge crew of the Council flagship tracked the human vessel's movements. Its dark hull seemed to drink in the starlight, making it look like a moving hole in space. The mysterious openings along its sides had remained active since the last battle, slowly shifting and changing like the mouth of some great space beast. "Sir," called out the sensor officer, "the human ship is altering course. It's heading directly into the asteroid field." Blue's skin flashed with confusion. "That makes no sense. Even with their advanced shields, why risk?" He stopped mid-sentence as Titan's forge did something impossible. The massive openings in its hull widened, and streams of energy reached out toward the nearest asteroids. The space rocks, some as large as small moons, began to break apart. "By the first stars," whispered the science officer, her vine-like appendages trembling. "They're not breaking them apart. They're dissolving them. The asteroids are being reduced to their base elements." The Council fleet watched in amazement as streams of raw materials flowed into the human vessel's massive openings. Metals, minerals, and various elements were sorted and pulled in with incredible precision. What had looked like weapon ports now revealed themselves to be processing intakes of unimaginable scale. "Sir," the communication officer's mechanical voice carried an unusual note of awe, "we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel. They're broadcasting on all frequencies." A calm human voice filled the bridge. "This is Titan's forge to all Council vessels. We recommend you maintain a safe distance of at least 50,000 kilometers. We are beginning primary manufacturing operations. This is not a warning. It is a safety advisory." Before anyone could respond, the human ship's hull began to change. Sections that had appeared smooth and solid now split apart, revealing vast internal chambers. Energy readings spiked to levels that made the Council's sensors scream in protest. Manufacturing operations. Blue's skin pulsed with rapid colors of confusion and fear. "What are they?" His question was answered as the first object emerged from one of the ship's massive openings. It was a ship, a sleek, deadly-looking vessel about the size of a standard Council cruiser. But even as they watched that ship move away from Titan's forge, a second one emerged. Then a third. Then a fourth. "This is impossible," the science officer whispered. "They're building ships. Complete, functional ships. But the resource processing, the manufacturing time, it should take months to build just one." The human voice came again, to satisfy Council curiosity. "Titan's forge currently operates 4,012 automated manufacturing systems simultaneously. Our nanoscale assembly processes allow for complete vessel construction in approximately 7 minutes. Current production schedule is classified." Blue watched as more ships emerged from the forge ship's massive factories. Each one was different. Some appeared to be cargo vessels. Others were clearly designed for mining or exploration. But all of them showed the same advanced technology as their mothership. "Now we understand." Blue's skin had faded to a pale, frightened shade. They didn't send a warship. They sent something far more powerful. The science officer nodded, her vines drooping. "They sent their ability to build an infinite fleet. They don't need to bring an army. They can create one anywhere they go." As if to emphasize this point, Titan's forge continued its work, methodically converting the asteroid field into an ever-growing fleet of ships. Each vessel moved into perfect formation as it emerged, creating a swarm that grew larger with every passing minute. The Council fleet could only watch as humanity demonstrated why they had only needed to send one ship. It wasn't a vessel of war, it was a vessel of creation. And somehow, that was infinitely more terrifying. Deep within the Council's central space station, the emergency meeting chamber had never been so quiet. The holographic displays showed multiple views of Titan's forge and its growing fleet. In just 12 hours, the human vessel had created over 300 ships of various sizes and purposes. Admiral Stone stood motionless, his mechanical body perfectly still as he processed the data. "The scans are conclusive," he said finally. "These ships aren't simple copies. Each one is custom-built, improved upon, adapted to specific tasks. They're learning and evolving their designs in real time." Director White's cloudy form shifted anxiously. "How is this possible? Even our most advanced manufacturing facilities take weeks to build this single ship. They're doing it in minutes." Scout Brown brought up new sensor readings on the main display. "It's their processing systems. See these energy signatures. They're not just building ships. They're taking the raw materials and completely restructuring them at the atomic level. Every atom is placed with perfect precision." The room's attention shifted as Ambassador Gray entered, his metallic form looking somehow duller than usual. Since the Mars incident, he had been quietly removed from active duty, but his expertise was still needed. "We misunderstood them completely," Gray said, his voice heavy with regret. "We thought their limited fleet meant they were primitive. Instead, they had simply found a better way. Why build 1,000 ships when you can build one ship that makes thousands?" The display showed new activity as Titan's forge approached another asteroid field. This time, its processes were even faster, more efficient. The asteroids weren't just broken down. They seemed to dissolve instantly into streams of raw materials. "Look at the efficiency improvements." Scout Brown pointed to the data scrolls. "They're already 13% faster than they were in the first demonstration. The system is continuously optimizing itself." Commander Black's insectoid form shivered. "So what do they want? If they can build an endless fleet, why haven't they attacked? Why show us this demonstration and then just wait?" A new alert flashed across the screens. Titan's forge had begun broadcasting again, this time directing a message specifically to the Council chamber. The human voice was calm, almost friendly. "Greetings, Council members. We understand our demonstration has caused concern. To ease your minds, we have paused production at 1,000 vessels. This represents approximately 1% of Titan's forged total production capacity." The chamber erupted in worried whispers. 1%. They had already built a fleet larger than most member species maintained, and it was just a fraction of what they could do. The message continued. "We wish to clarify our position. Titan's forge is not a weapon. It is an olive branch. Throughout human history, true peace has come not from having the biggest weapons, but from making war itself pointless." Admiral Stone's mechanical eyes wared as they focused on the display. "Explain," he commanded. "Our ship can reach any system in Council space within weeks. Upon arrival, we can build whatever we need. Ships, stations, defense systems. We can match or exceed any military buildup you attempt. This makes traditional warfare obsolete. You cannot win an arms race against an automated factory that improves itself." Director White's gaseous form condensed as she understood. "They're not threatening us with destruction. They're threatening us with irrelevance. Any military advantage we try to build, they can copy and improve upon in minutes." The human message concluded. "We propose a new relationship. Instead of wasting resources on a pointless arms race, let us share our manufacturing technology. Let us build together rather than against each other. The choice, as always, is yours. We will await your response while we finish cataloging the interesting mineral compositions in this sector." The Council members watched as Titan's forge continued its methodical work, each demonstration of its capabilities making their own fleets seem more and more obsolete. They had expected humans to wage war like everyone else, with ships and weapons and soldiers. Instead, they had changed the very nature of power in the galaxy. Now the Council had to decide: continue with their old ways and face inevitable obsolescence, or embrace humanity's vision of a future where creation mattered more than destruction. The Council's observation deck offered a perfect view of humanity's next demonstration. Titan's Forge had positioned itself near one of the Council's oldest space stations, a sprawling structure that had fallen into disrepair over the centuries. The human ship dwarfed the station, its dark hull making the old metal structure look tiny and fragile in comparison. "They're requesting permission to upgrade our station," said Admiral Stone, his mechanical voice carrying a note of disbelief. "They say it's a gift, a show of good faith." Director White swirled thoughtfully. "And if we refuse?" "They'll respect our decision and move on to mapping the next sector," Stone replied. "But they know we're watching. They know we need to see what they can really do." After hours of debate, the Council had granted permission. Now they watched as Titan's Forge extended its energy streams toward the ancient station. But instead of breaking it down, the streams worked with surgical precision, adding new materials and removing old ones section by section. "Incredible," breathed Scout Brown, his feathers ruffling with excitement as he studied the sensor readings. "They're not just repairing it. They're completely rebuilding it while keeping it fully operational. The station's power hasn't even flickered." Layer by layer, the old station transformed. New sections grew like crystal formations, while old damaged parts dissolved and were reformed into stronger materials. The entire process looked less like construction and more like watching a flower bloom in fast motion. "Sir," called out a young officer, "we're receiving new data streams from the station. The humans, they've increased its power output by 4,000%, and the new materials, our sensors can't even identify them." Ambassador Gray watched from the back of the room, his metallic face reflecting the light of the transformation. "All this technology, this power, they had it when I made first contact. They could have used it to destroy us after what happened on Mars. Instead, they're showing us how to build better things." The station's transformation continued, each minute bringing new wonders. Living quarters expanded, life support systems evolved beyond anything the Council had developed, and defensive capabilities grew exponentially. Yet none of it felt threatening. It was as if the humans were writing a textbook in real space, showing exactly what their technology could do. "New message from Titan's Forge," announced the communication officer. The now familiar human voice filled the room. "Station upgrades at 60% completion. Note that all improvements use standardized designs. Any civilization with basic manufacturing capabilities can reproduce these patterns once they understand the principles involved. We believe in teaching people to fish, as our saying goes." Director White's gaseous form rippled with sudden understanding. "That's been their plan all along. They're not just showing us what they can build, they're showing us how we can build it too. Every demonstration is a lesson." The humans continued narrating their work, explaining each improvement in clear, simple terms. They described new alloys that could repair themselves, energy systems that drew power from the fabric of space itself, and construction methods that worked at the atomic level. But why? Commander Black's mandibles clicked nervously. Why share such powerful technology with potential enemies? Admiral Stone's mechanical eyes whirred as they focused on the transformed station. "Because they know that once we understand how to build like this, war becomes pointless. Why fight over resources when you can create what you need? Why destroy when creation is faster and more efficient?" The station's transformation reached its final stages. What had been a decaying relic was now a shining example of what cooperation between species could achieve. Its new surface gleamed with a material that seemed to drink in starlight and convert it to power. Its halls could now house 10 times the original population in far greater comfort. Its sensors could scan deeper into space than anything the Council had ever built. And yet, as Scout Brown's readings confirmed, the humans had used fewer resources than it would have taken to build a single warship. They had taken centuries of decay and turned it into something new, something better, all while teaching others how to do the same. The message was clear. Humanity hadn't come to rule the galaxy or win its wars. They had come to show a better way, a path where creation made conflict obsolete. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council looked very different now. 3 months had passed since Titan's Forge first appeared in Council space, and the changes were everywhere. The hall itself had been upgraded with human manufacturing technology, its walls now alive with flowing patterns that adjusted to perfectly suit the needs of each species present. Admiral Stone stood before the assembled representatives, his mechanical body upgraded with the new self-repairing alloys the humans had shared. "The final reports are in," he announced. 42 member worlds have successfully replicated the basic manufacturing principles. 15 more are expected to achieve this capability within the month. Director White floated nearby, her gaseous form contained in a new type of field that allowed her far more control and expression than ever before. And the humans have kept their word. They shared everything they promised, hidden nothing, and responded to every request for assistance. The various council members murmured among themselves, their voices mixing in a chorus of different languages and tones. But there was no fear in those voices now, no worry about human intentions. Instead, there was excitement, curiosity, and hope. Ambassador Gray stepped forward, his metallic form gleaming with a new finish that could process solar energy directly. "I wish to make a final statement before accepting my retirement," he said. His role in the Mars incident was not forgotten, but it was now understood differently. "I made a terrible mistake in first contact, acting from fear and pride. But the humans' response taught us something profound. They showed us that the best revenge against destruction is to create something better." The main display activated, showing Titan's Forge in its current position. The massive ship had finished its tour of Council space and was preparing to return to Earth. In its wake, it left not a trail of destruction, but a path of transformation. Every sector it visited now hosted new stations, improved ships, and upgraded facilities. "The humans ask nothing in return," continued Gray. "They say watching us learn and grow is payment enough." Their ship carried not just technology, but a philosophy that the duty of advanced civilizations is to lift others up, not hold them down. A new figure stepped onto the speaking platform, the first human representative to address the full council. She looked small among the various alien species, but she carried herself with quiet confidence. "We understand some of you still have concerns," she said, her words automatically translated for each member species. "You wonder if we have held back our best technology, kept some secret advantage. The answer is yes. We are still developing, still improving, still creating new things. But that's not a weapon to use against you. It's an invitation to grow with us." She gestured to the display, which showed various worlds now using human manufacturing techniques to solve their own unique problems. Desert planets built water recycling systems more efficient than any before. Ocean worlds created cities that worked in harmony with their vast seas. Old worlds renewed themselves, while young ones grew wisely. "We sent one ship," she continued, "because that was all we needed to show you what was possible. Titan's Forge isn't just a factory or a teacher. It's a promise that we can all build something greater than fleets of warships and weapons of destruction." The council chambers filled with the sound of agreement, clicking mandibles, humming energy fields, rustling leaves, and dozens of other expressions of approval from the gathered species. Admiral Stone raised his hand for attention. "The council has voted. We formally accept humanity's invitation to join what they call the Builder's Path. Furthermore, we propose establishing a new division within the Council, the Department of Creative Technologies, to be jointly led by human and Council representatives." The humans smiled. "We accept, and we look forward to seeing what we can all build together." As the Council session ended, members gathered in small groups, excitedly discussing plans for their worlds. Nobody watched the great warships that had once protected the Council borders, They were already being transformed into something more useful. Nobody worried about sector boundaries or military strengths. They were too busy planning what to create next. In Earth orbit, construction began on a second Ford ship, but this one would be different, built not by humans alone, but by all species together, carrying the best of what each civilization had to offer. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where the power to create had finally overcome the urge to destroy.